Oh, hey. How are you doing, you wonderful nerds? Scott here, you caught me at just the right time. I was popping in some Scooby snacks in the oven. And since we're already talking about Scooby-Doo, I think that there is one thing that the entire franchise has had a problem with throughout its whole run. And that is that Scooby-Doo is kind of formulaic. The gang drives up to a new town to learn about some new monster that's haunting or terrorizing the place. Mystery Incorporated snaps into action, finding clues and unraveling seemingly supernatural events until they trap the creature and unmask them to be some kind of greedy capitalist who's scaring people away so they can buy up the land for cheap or steal treasure.
Stolen treasures!
It is a tried and true recipe for mystery and fun. Personally, I really love the formula of classic Scooby-Doo. The anxious, controlling part of my brain genuinely enjoys that every episode is incredibly predictable. It was Hanna-Barbera, the production company behind Scooby-Doo. They were the ones who had a problem with it. In the past, they tried to break up the Scoob franchise from its played-out recipe to keep things from getting a little too stale for their audience. The first outing to try something radically different was the first episode of the 1980 Richie Rich and Scooby-Doo show, A Close Encounter with a Strange Kind. Shaggy is kidnapped by aliens, and it's up to Scooby and Scrappy to rescue him. There's no mystery, there's no unmasking. Real aliens show up, mess with the Doo crew, and then leave. That's it. Following this adventure, more Scooby-Doo cartoons and movies came out that continued to break up the classic, we've got a mystery on our hands, split up and search for clues formula of what the franchise was known for, but none of these did anything in a particularly satisfying way. At least, not until...
There are monsters who dwell in our nightmares, creatures of unspeakable horror, plotting to destroy mankind. But in this world, there are warriors who have the courage to confront this evil. Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island.
Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island is scary, more so than most of the Scoob library. It's filled with so many terrifying moments that have scarred my childhood brain, and even my adult brain. Why is Velma destroying a perfectly good kitchen?
What are you doing to my kitchen?
It's the scariest thing of all. However, the most haunting moment in this film that continues to stand out to me is this one.
No.
It's the fisherman! No! It's the ferryman!
Oh!
Maybe it's real!
Now, to be clear, this moment isn't the scariest thing from the movie, and it's far from the scariest thing to ever come out of Scooby-Doo. Eventually, one day, I would like to do a video about the scariest episode of the old cartoon show, so...
Remember to smash that subscribe button!
But what I love about this moment from Zombie Island is that this one tiny scene, this one little moment, successfully does what so much of the Scoob franchise up to that point tried and failed miserably to do. This moment completely shatters the monotony of Scooby-Doo and rejuvenated a franchise that had become incredibly stable. Welcome back to Binging with Babish. Just kidding. A super quick announcement. We have NerdSync stickers coming to the merch store featuring homages to some of your favorite NerdSync videos, including a very secret one that I haven't finished yet, but I already know that you're gonna love it. They were drawn up by Smash Tunes, who absolutely crushed it. They are unbelievably cute. Go to nerdsyncstore.com to pre-order yours now. Link in the description. I know that the last time I did one of these videos where I broke down a scene in a movie that I liked, people in the comments picked on me for analyzing the entire film instead of just the one scene. So, armed with your comments and your notes, We're gonna do the exact same thing. I'm incredibly predictable. So as I said at the start, Hanna-Barbera wanted to shake things up in the Scooby-Doo cartoon franchise during the 1980s. There was some mild success with weirder offshoots, but quickly the series went back to its old mystery-solving formula in 1988 with a pup named Scooby-Doo. The best Scoob cartoon, but the franchise seemed to be running out of Scooby snacks. It wasn't nearly as popular as it once was, and A Pup Named Scooby-Doo ended in 1991. There were no plans for a new Scooby-Doo cartoon series in the works, so for the first time since his debut 22 years earlier, Scooby-Doo left television, but not for long. You see, around this time, Turner Broadcasting System was buying up all kinds of cartoon production studios, amassing an enormous library of animated content. And one of the studios they purchased was Hanna-Barbera Productions. And then, in 1992, Turner launched a brand new television network that would serve as an outlet for all of the cartoons they acquired.
Hello, folks. Welcome to the world's first and only Cartoon Network.
Cartoon Network played all kinds of classic cartoons, but Scooby-Doo was played the most, to the point where it irritated some viewers who just wanted to watch Tom and Jerry, or Looney Tunes, or Andy Panda. Was that one they showed? I can't be bothered to check. The point is, the reason old episodes of Scooby-Doo were played almost constantly was because they attracted the highest interest from viewers. Thanks to Cartoon Network, Scooby-Doo saw a massive renewed popularity, so much so that a few years later, heads of the network suggested taking a chance and making the first new Scooby-Doo adventure in nearly a decade.
Coming fall 1998, Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. It's Scooby-Doo's first feature-length movie. Available only on video from Warner Brothers Family Entertainment.
It's clear from the trailers that Zombie Island was meant to signal a new era for Scooby-Doo. The tagline of this film was, "This time, the monsters are real."
This time, the monsters are real.
This time, the monsters are real.
But Scooby-Doo has had real monsters before, especially in the 80s with 13 Ghosts, Ghoul School, Boo Brothers, even The Pup Named Scooby-Doo had some ghosties. But these monsters were cute and silly, or even just annoying. Definitely not scary. In fact, I would argue that even though the monsters in the original series were always fake, it was much more frightening than the other shows that had real monsters in them, thanks to the creepy background art and creature designs. The atmosphere alone in classic Scooby-Doo was enough to send shivers down your spine, even if the threat was a hoax. Do yourself a favor and follow Scoobyscapes on Instagram. It is a treat. One day I will make a video about the art of Scooby-Doo, since NerdSync is rapidly becoming a dedicated Scooby-Doo channel. So once again,
Remember to smash that subscribe button.
my point is that on one hand you have cartoons where the monsters aren't real, but the atmosphere is spooky. Then you have cartoons where the monsters are real, but nothing is scary in the slightest. And then you've got Zombie Island, which serves as the perfect creepy blend. The film is dripping with actual fear and horror. The main setting takes place on Moonscar Island, which is perfectly pleasant at day, but at night becomes a dark and moody landscape with an ominous and ever-present full moon washing over the cursed swamps. Lanterns casting harsh shadows through unsettling forests. Eerie arcane energy bringing forth ghosts and zombies and sinister demons. You like sinister demons? Oh, okay. Sparta wanted to help with this recipe. There's a pretty well-known trend where studios try to mature a property that was initially intended for children by making it dark and gritty for a modern audience. Zombie Island for sure does that to some extent, but note that no matter how dark and stylized the film got, the writers still allowed the gang to stay true to themselves. The situation is dark and gritty, but the characters are not. Velma is still grounded in science and logic and enjoys solving a good mystery. Fred is still sort of the oblivious leader obsessed with capturing the bad guys, even if this time he's capturing them on camera instead of with nets and traps. Scooby and Shaggy are still lovable goofballs who do so many silly goofs and gaffes throughout the film that would feel right at home on the old TV show. I'm gonna put you down now. No, he likes talking about Scooby-Doo too. What I was saying was, instead of darkening the cast of characters, the film intensifies the monsters that the gang faces down as real, tangible threats, rather than men in masks or goofy ghouls. This subversion makes the Scooby-Doo gang all the more impressive that they can hold their own, not just against crooks and thieves, but also against nearly 200 years worth of zombies and a pack of werecats. The only character who changed a lot was Daphne, but honestly, it's for the better. Daphne changed from being a clumsy damsel in distress to a reporter and straight up monster hunter, which is my favorite interpretation of her. I think Daphne should complement Shaggy and Scooby's roles on the team, where those two always believe the monsters are real and run away from them in fear. Daphne believes the monsters are real as well, but runs towards them in excitement.
I intend to find some real haunted houses for my viewers.
That is her role on the team, in my correct opinion, and it's through this lens of Daphne that the film aims to critique and shatter the predictable, monotonous Scooby-Doo recipe. The film opens with the gang capturing a typical monster in a medieval castle who turns out to be a greedy real estate agent who's counterfeiting money in his basement, which raises a lot of questions. Is he counterfeiting money in the castle's basement? If that's his crime, then why is it relevant that he's a real estate agent? Is the castle for sale? Is he printing money in the castle to buy the castle so he can print more money to buy other castles? Obviously, it doesn't have to make sense. It's just supposed to showcase a very typical, tropey Scooby-Doo episode. The kind of episode that is so formulaic and predictable that even one of the gang's own members gets so bored with it that she quit.
The real reason I changed jobs was because the monsters and ghosts always turned out to be bad guys in a mask.
Got a little boring, eh?
No kidding.
Daphne wants more than anything to hunt down real monsters that she's convinced are out there in the world somewhere. The gang reunites to help Daph with her goal, but all they find are more people in masks, same as before. And we're treated to a montage that gives us the exact same thing that the opening scene did, just more people in costumes pretending to be ghosts, hammering home just how repetitive a classic Scooby-Doo outing really is, that even when we think we're gonna see something new, it's just the same thing we saw earlier in the same film.
Even the song that's playing during this montage has lyrics to remind you that this is the same thing that has always happened in Scooby-Doo, and the same thing that will always happen in Scooby-Doo. I wanted to play the song right now to kind of demonstrate my point, also because it rules. But would you believe that I got like 8 copyright claims on this video already?
And if you really haven't soaked it in yet, Daphne laments.
Bad guys in masks, mechanical claws, magnets, just like the good old days. Too much like the good old days.
It is a stale recipe. But, as fate would have it, the gang is invited to an eerie island that is famous for mysterious disappearances and ghostly activity. Now, I love this choice of a setting. Putting the gang on a secluded island makes the film feel intensely claustrophobic. The gang can't simply pack into the mystery machine and take off when things get too hairy, and the only way on and off the island is by way of a ferry that's driven by someone who isn't entirely trustworthy, so there truly is no escape. It's terrifying. Daphne is hopeful that this is the real deal, but Fred and Velma are ruining the fun.
It's just guys in masks, and they're probably after the pirate's treasure.
Or covering up a smuggling operation. For once, can't you accept that maybe there are some mysteries that have no rational explanation?
Very quickly, Shaggy and Scooby discover real ghosts that reanimate real corpses that bring to life real zombies. The duo screams in terror for help, and what follows is my absolute favorite sequence from this entire film. Daphne, Fred, and Velma go searching for Shaggy and Scooby through the dark, moonlit swamps. There's overly dramatic lighting and angles and character choices that play up the tension as the gang struggles to understand what's really going on. Suddenly, Daphne is confronted with a zombie, but facing down ghouls is old hat to her. At this point, Daphne has lost hope that monsters could be real, and she instinctively tries to unmask it. But there's a problem. The zombie's mask isn't prying off. Unconvinced, Fred gives it a go, desperately trying to maintain the status quo, clinging to the classic Scooby-Doo recipe. It's just a phony, cheesy mask, just like every other villain they've faced before. He starts listing suspects who we as the audience might also think is behind the clearly fake monster attack. But
Maybe it's real.
okay, so it's not a mask, but clearly the zombie must be animatronic, right? But then dozens of these horrifying creatures show up.
And I suppose they're all animatronic too?
Well, it is a possibility, Daph.
Fred can't bring himself to acknowledge that these monsters could be the genuine thing. There's a formula, there's a recipe. We stick to this recipe that we've known our whole lives. If we deviate from it, then I don't know what I'm gonna do, and that's terrifying. This is the moment that flips the entire franchise on its head. The moment that shatters the beloved Scooby-Doo formula. And they knew it. The marketing of this movie put this scene in nearly every teaser and trailer because they knew that this was the twist that was gonna get people hooked. But when I was a kid, I didn't watch the trailers. I didn't know the monsters were gonna be real. I thought I was gonna feast upon some familiar comfort food, but they changed the recipe on me. Of course, nowadays, I don't hate it. I actually think it's a work of genius. Even the chase scene that follows is kind of a critique and inversion of classic Scooby-Doo chase sequences. So sometimes the monsters would do something silly in the chase sequence that would kind of undermine their spookiness, you know, for comedy.
Thanks.
But again, these zombies are not supposed to be silly. All of the monsters are supposed to be genuinely spooky and unsettling. However, one zombie does do something that seems a little silly. So Shaggy is trying to save Scooby from some quicksand and reaches out for a vine, but surprise, that vine is a snake and Shaggy gets spooked, but a zombie behind Shaggy politely hands him an actual vine to swing from so he can rescue Scoob. It's played as a joke, haha, the absurdity, the monster helping the people they're chasing, how delightfully funny. But this isn't just a comedic beat for the zombie, it fits into the narrative, because you find out later that the zombies are the good guys. Well, they're still comprised of, you know, Confederate soldiers and what appear to be members of the mafia, and worst of all, tourists. So I wouldn't call them good guys necessarily, but they are genuinely trying to help the gang survive and escape the island so they can get away from the actual villains of the film. Of course, they would help Shaggy rescue Scooby. It's a joke the first time you watch it, and a clue the second time you watch it and are savvy to the plot. It's brilliant. The real evil forces, of course, are the cursed cat demons who have lured people to their island for centuries to drain them of their life energy with a magic ritual so they can maintain their immortality. They capture Daphne, Fred, and Velma by making voodoo dolls to restrain them, but they don't bother making any for Scooby and Shaggy because they think the both of them are dunces and would be easy enough to capture later. Making voodoo dolls for those two would be
a waste of time and magic wax.
Which is quite possibly my favorite sentence ever spoken. But just look at this. First ghosts, then zombies, then demons and curses and archaic rituals and magic wax. Zombie Island doesn't just say that one type of monster or supernatural element is real. The film pulls no punches saying all of this stuff is real. But that's not what makes this moment so scary. The horror doesn't come from monsters and magic being proven true. The horror comes from the breaking of the classic Scooby-Doo rhythm, when the gang faces something they've never faced before and don't know what to do about it. This is unknown territory for them. And if by the end of the film the gang truly accepts the breaking of their recipe, and these new facets of the world that have been shown to them on this one tiny island, imagine what else is out there. And that's kind of a scary thought. Facing the unknown is something that gives me a lot of fear and anxiety, and that's why familiar patterns and formulas are so appealing to me. I wasn't kidding at the start when I said that that's why I love watching classic Scooby-Doo. The predictability is comforting. But Zombie Island intentionally aims to disrupt your comfort level with the Scooby-Doo franchise. It keeps enough of the elements untouched to lure you in, while adding a pinch of something fresh and new to the recipe. Perfect. It's just like these homemade Scooby snacks I baked for our local dog shelter. I've been making these for a while now, and while the dogs still love them every time, I decided, it's time to spice things up, try new recipes. So this one has a little jalapeno kick to it. This is a little sharp cheddar action. This one has chocolate chips in it. Wait, these are for dogs. Oh no, I already sent a box.
Remember to smash that subscribe button.
Thank you to my patrons. I would say all of their names, but that would be a waste of time and magic wax. But I do at least have to thank
Christopher Lang, Lori Timms, Jonathan Lanowski, Everett Parrott, Anna Lee, Amanda Trisdale, Havelock Smiggles, Penguin, It's Quintly, Eric Totoropato, So-and-So King, Nils Nikolai, Blueberry, Adam Barber, Benjamin Acosta, and the rest of the wonderful nerds who support me over at patreon.com/nerdsync. We actually hit the 450 patrons goal that would make me do a 30-minute video about Bob Ross, which, spoilers, will end up being much longer than that. But we actually kind of dipped under that accidentally. So if you want to be a patron and help push us back to that 450 goal, that would be amazing.
Patreon.com/nerdsync. Is it disgusting to watch me eat? Bet it is.
If you're interested in watching me talk more about Scooby-Doo, watch this video right here where I thematically break down the entire franchise. As always, my name is Scott, reminding you to read between the mysteries and grow smarter through Scooby-Doo.
Oh, and don't forget about the stickers.
Yeah, the stickers.
The stickers are good. See ya.